Hey everyone, my name is Mike Vaughn. Welcome to GVN Interviews. Today I have a real treat. We are going to be talking to cinematographer Diego Garcia. His work is really fantastic and includes Wildlife and Too Old to Die Young. But he is talking about his work on Causeway, which you can stream now on Apple. So thank you so much for joining me today. So jumping right in, I read in an interview that you're first drawn to filmmakers in terms of like seeking out a project. So I'm assuming that was also the case with Causeway.
Um, yeah, I since the first time I read the first draft of this film, uh, I was very moved and very interested in the way it was written, meaning that there was not like a very hard structured plot, and for me it had a real soul, like a real exploration about healing and readaptation, and very sensorial in a way. You know, it was very different than what it is now, the film. But I think the essence remained there. So yes, I was very interested in on doing like a character-driven film.
Yeah, and it seems like in a lot of your films, would it be correct to say that you're kind of drawn to these sort of character pieces?
Probably, yeah. For me, I think it's important to do some reflections and about human behavior and about human connection, and to try to yeah, share about that. You know, I think it's important, nature and humanity.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of nature, it's interesting. I read in Filmmaker magazine, I believe it was, that you tend to kind of seek out directors who have a more naturalistic approach to their work. Is that right?
Well, yes, but not necessarily. For example, Nick Refn doesn't have that, and I was also, I mean, I did a great work creative relationship with him. But I guess what I mean by that, it was the idea of having a direct link into the way of filmmaking, like camera characters, like how can I explain it, like more purity or more like a direct way to work, no, not doing like a lot of special effects, or not like manipulating. I mean, filmmaking is manipulating reality, you know, but I don't know if this makes sense. Yeah, like naturalistic approach, trying to recreate a reality in a certain poetic way. Maybe that will be like a right answer. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. I love how before I get into the on location shooting, this was actually filmed in 2019. Is that right?
Which one? The
Causeway.
Yeah, well, the first, yeah, we did then later on reshoots and additional photography 2 years after, or even three. Yeah, it was like a long time after we were able to complete it.
Did it get shut down by COVID? Is that what interrupted the?
No, well, yes, many times, but before there was like so many different reasons, so it was kind of
Uh,
uh, tricky coming back, but we did it.
yeah, it's a really excellent film. I think I watched it like twice already, and it's
Oh,
just
really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's great. I really love the first shot of the movie. It's such a beautiful way, I think, to introduce the character and her situation. I hope I can describe this right. It's almost like kind of like an over her like shoulder, or sort of like it's like your view is slightly skewed.
Yeah.
But it's really, I think, a interesting and kind of powerful way to like start the film. But
Yeah, I personally, I really enjoy as part of using the visual language when a shot begins with something and it gives you some kind of information or just a feeling or something, and then it turns into something else and it evolves. And I think that shot it's a good example of that, you know.
yeah, that's a really interesting point. Would you say that like it's so important to get that first right shot as far as like to really establish like the mood and the characters?
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a very subtle way to reveal she's in a wheelchair and that that like something is going on, you
Yeah.
know.
And I noticed how the film, just the look of it starts out very somber, but I think it starts really opening up. It's still not a very bright and colorful movie, given the subject matter that tracks. But like I like how, it almost just starts out maybe a little bit claustrophobic and then sort of opens like up as it goes along. Is that something that's
Yeah, I guess it's part of a progression or some kind of an arch where her uh, um, her progress of healing and going back home. I mean, there's of course a different approach from Nebraska to New Orleans for sure. Not only regarding light or the atmosphere, but the way it was shot. I think it started to pick up a little more movement. And I think the camera was trying to stay close and respectful on the way she starts to get better or yeah, like close to her personal process. Yes.
Yeah, and I think you capture that beautifully. Again, I think it's something that didn't necessarily register with me the first time, maybe on a conscious level, but just watching it again and just taking everything in, you can really start to see all the little details that are put
Yeah.
into it. This was shot on location in Louisiana. I'm assuming you're a fan of like filming on location rather than like a set or
Definitely. I mean, as much as it's of course very comfortable shooting on stage on a with AC and everything, you know, working on a set. But I always will prefer shooting on a location with real character, real textures, where it feels alive. And of course, you can take it in and make it better and readapt for the scene. But just by using like real windows, real places, for me, it makes a huge difference. You know. Hmm.
yeah. Again, it looks so beautiful. I love all of the natural lighting. I mean, just using a lot of the natural lighting must be a challenge all by itself, right? Instead of
Yeah.
just having like controlled sets of lights and everything.
Well, yeah, maybe it looks simple, but it was not. I mean, yes and not. Like working with available light, it's not only like, yeah, let's shoot because it looks beautiful. I think you need to keep shaping it and using a lot of negative frames, diffusions, I mean, it's lighting at the end, even if you're not using huge lighting units, like you're still working bouncing or diffusing or cutting, or so sometimes it can be even more difficult because you have to control it and the sun keeps moving and you need to match it. So I mean, I mixed different techniques. Some of it it's available and natural lighting, but some of it it's artificial as well.
Do you recall what the most challenging shot was for the movie?
Maybe not a specific shot, but a whole scene. Uh, because of the dramatic complexity, that will be the Octavia pool, the pool at night, the night scene for the kiss and
Okay.
when they hug each other. Yeah, that was hard to really find the right way to get intimate and give them space and freedom. The whole blocking in a pool was, but it was more about the dramatical moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like really capturing that the essence of that scene.
Yes, exactly. But also shooting like a night shoot underwater. It has, even that it looks simple, it has like a certain level of complexity, and as you will mention, the film, it's based on very small things and subtle things that can pick up the atmosphere and the emotion that we wanted to show coming from our characters.
Yeah, and it's interesting because as you say, I think if you're doing your job well, it's almost like you don't like. I'm trying to think how I want to put this. Like it just looks so simple and seamless if you're really doing your job well, even though, as you said, it's very complex to shoot at night, to shoot in the daylight, to contend with the position of the sun.
Yes.
But you make it look so simple.
No,
So
for me, my job is not even to think about there's a camera or there's lighting. For me, the goal is just to get into the story and be close to the characters and what is going on with them. And for me, my work is to link all the images and the visual language into the story.
nice. Now, how hands-on was the director in this particular film? Like, how much input did she give you, or were you allowed to kind of get have the space to kind of come up with what you wanted?
Hmm. Well, Laila, she's a first-time film director. She has a very long and strong theater background. Uh, uh, so for her, everything about working with a camera and all the technical side of making a film was new to her, and she was always very open and receptive. Of course, she understood like the dramatic arch about everything and performances but I will say that it was. I mean, we worked together so very hard to really find the film together, but it was. Yeah, I mean, she gave me a lot of freedom, but also I always try to explain and to find a real purpose about taking some decisions. Like as I said, like everything most to be motivated by something, no, not for free. not because it looked good or whatever. I think every single detail, it's based or in emotional situation or psychological situation, the compositions. And so yes, it was an interesting work.
Nice. So I think I'm just about out of time, but I wanted to ask one final question, which is if you could work with any film director, who would that be? Like, who would be your dream collaborator?
Well, that's a big question, because there's so many great filmmakers out there. Um, Living or dead?
And yeah, living, dead, anyone.
Well, I will say Tarkovsky.
Oh yeah, good answer. Yeah, that's yeah, that would be really fantastic. I'm a big fan. And speaking of, I'm a big fan of your work, of
Thank you.
Wildlife. I just rewatched actually in preparation for this, and gosh, it bowls me over every time. So this was really fantastic. Thank you so much. Again, for everybody watching, you can check out Causeway right now on Apple Plus. I highly recommend it. It's fantastic, and your work is like stellar as always. So thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right.
All right, thanks.